everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of Star Trek Discovery Season 4 and a premiere episode which was titled Kobayishi Maru. Now there will likely be spoilers within this review, so just in case you haven't yet caught up with all the episodes, and you can catch up with my previous reviews of Star Trek Season 3, and I will leave the links within the description. So just quickly to recap over the events over Season 3, the Discovery crew of course were having to adjust to existing in a way distant future timeline following the events of Season 2 finale, where they had to very much cooperate with a far smaller scale Federation still trying to define itself. They had also defeated Osyara's crew, who was trying to take over the ship. Saru had left the Discovery crew to go back to his home planet, and the crew itself had prevented the ban from happening again, destroying all of the dilithium within the galaxy, and Michael had promoted the ranks to become captain of the crew itself. So in terms of this overall episode, it very much was your typical opener for a Discovery season. We had plenty of intense blockbuster action and spectacle. We are now very much well aware that Discovery remains one of the most expensive shows in all of television, and we see that yet again evidenced throughout this opening episode. Right from the start, we see Michael and Book trying to extend Federation relations with an alien race dressed in very much of a white costume, who later on transformed into almost like a moth butterfly, and this was after Michael and Book really clumsily handled negotiations where they were offering the dilithium in exchange for relations with this alien race, and we get a typically frantic chase full of shootouts, laser beams, lens flare, quick jumps, quick cuts, lots of running, lots of shouting, jumping off cliffs, and it's very much an embodiment of what Discovery is as a whole in terms of its overall tone and spirit. Very much more in kinship with what we saw with the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films, and this has really been the conflict in terms of the more purist Trek fans who feel that Star Trek Discovery is too action orientated, it's too much of those fantasy elements, and they feel that this kind of tone takes away the more intelligent parts of Star Trek as a IP and a science fiction property. But in terms of the story itself, Michael and Book eventually escape from a ship, and the alien race realises their true intentions and they reach an overall agreement. Shortly after, we see all of the Discovery crew in a far happier place. A lot of the crew have managed to gain promotions. Michael Burnham introduces the latest crop of new recruits in the Starfleet Academy, and as per the trailers, we are introduced to the new president of the Federation. Her name is Lara Pilak, and what's distinctive about her is that she's part Bajoran, part Cardassian, and part human. And later on, the president gets invited to join Discovery on their mission, and you can clearly see that Michael doesn't like this very much. And later on, this causes tension between both her and the president, and I liked this narrative, and it's good for Michael overall in terms of learning to be a captain. If we look at Michael, her personality throughout this series, she's always been someone who's challenged authority. Again, this is something that has annoyed certain fans and critics of the show, the fact that she's constantly overtalked other superior officers. So to finally have somebody who is challenging her authority on the ship, I think is a welcome change and could bring a lot of good and fresh dynamics throughout this particular season. Now the main plot of this story was that the Discovery crew were responding to a distress call from a repair base whose ship had been seemingly disrupted by an ongoing space anomaly, which would be the ongoing arc throughout this season, and the crew was very much in potential danger. Various initiatives were taken by all of the crew in order to save as many people as they can, and this is where Michael as captain is faced with the possibility of a no-win situation where she can't save everybody, and this of course relates to the title episode itself, which is of course a classic element of Star Trek lore, particularly when you look at Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. This is of course relating to the Kobayashi test, which is a simulation to make a captain ultimately face a no-win situation and try to deal with the ultimate fate of death and loss. And how exactly would they deal with that situation? Now of course in the Wrath of Khan movie, Kirk provided a cheat to beat this test, but Michael doesn't have that same luxury. And as you very much know of the character throughout this series, she's very much against the idea of a no-win situation. She will constantly bend and break rules wherever necessary to try and save as many people as she can. And in terms of this overall story, they very much do that. They try and save as many people, and we get very much of frantic action set pieces where we have the likes of Tilly and Adira going down to save the crew. We get lots of explosions and quick cuts, as I mentioned before. We get further disagreements between the president, who deems Burnham very rash, especially when Michael makes a decision to take the spacewalk herself in order to the repair ship. The president doesn't like this because she feels that the captain should be maintaining her crew on the bridge. Again, this is a valid criticism, not only of the story itself, but also in terms of the overall decision to make Michael captain. We did get some very cool shots where Michael goes ahead in a space pod and it gets disorientated. We get a slow motion scene where everybody is kind of disorientated from the massive explosions, and then Michael goes into the space costume to go on down to the repair crew. So again, this is very exciting if you are very much a fan of a Star Trek Discovery. The episode itself was moving very quickly, so it kept you on the hook and on the edge of your seat to an extent. And as a result, they managed to save most of the crew, but we see 1 or 2 people die at the end. And this causes further reflection between the president, who very much admires Burnham for her risk-taking and the fact that she will strive to save as many people as she can. And throughout the episode, they very much commend Burnham and the Discovery crew for helping out in the prevention of the burn event and saving, if you like, the entire galaxy. But at the same time, the president feels that Burnham is not prepared to face to a no-win situation, and that's why she deems her not ready to be part of a select group of the Federation to handle a new prototype technology, which involves the next phase of the spore drive. Now, Michael disagrees with this. She feels that she is ready, and this again is keeping with the character. She's very hot-headed, she's very stubborn, but the president rightly states that she's not prepared yet. She doesn't really have a full sense of perspective and how it is to deal with a no-win situation, and that's why she doesn't deem her ready to be part of this prototype technology. So this provides very good, interesting dynamics, as I mentioned before, for the rest of the season. Now, we did get further subplots of seeing Saru back on his home planet discussing the future plans of their race and whether they should themselves extend relations in terms of connections with other parts of the universe, and we get further hints that Saru will eventually be returning to Starfleet. Now, this is good for me because I personally felt that Saru was one of the best characters, if not the best, of the Star Trek Discovery, and it was a great decision to make him captain, but season 3 decided to take that away. So we knew this in the trailers that Saru will indeed be returning to the bridge, and again it provides further interesting dynamics. What will the position of Saru be? In the trailers, we saw him in a red uniform, so will he have a similar seniority to Michael Burnham? Would indeed the president put Saru on the ship to keep Michael in check? And will this indeed cause further tensions between Saru and Michael? We will wait and see. Now, the other subplot involved Burt going to his home planet to reconnect with his brother and nephew. Now, this felt far less important as we were focusing far more on the action and spectacle of rescuing the repair team. But everything came to quite a shocking climax where we end up having rescued most of the crew, and we see at the end that Book's planet has been indeed destroyed. So this is very much of a cliffhanger moment, and this is, I believe, was caused by the mysterious space anomaly. So of course, in the next upcoming episodes, we're going to deal very much with the ramifications of this particular event. So overall, in terms of this episode, I feel it was your typical action-packed and spectacular, eventful. Certainly was very lively, again very much high production values and budget in terms of the effects, and I think overall at this point, if you aren't a fan of Star Trek Discovery, there was nothing in this episode and more likely nothing in this season that's going to get you on board now. So at this point, I don't think it's really worth kind of outraging by the show. I think as we are now at the 4th season, you would have already made up your mind whether you believe this is pure Trek or not. And of course, if you are indeed a fan of the show, then you'll be very pleased as it's very much given you much more of what you've enjoyed in the first place. Now, in terms of the fans themselves, just quickly, we had the recent news, of course, that Star Trek Discovery was going to indeed be taken off the Netflix streaming, and it was all going to merge with Paramount Plus. This is for international viewers, but the caveat being that they won't be able to view the series until early next year in 2022. And this is very much of a dumb decision for me. You'll very much alienate your audiences. Why wait until the last minute as the show literally is about to drop before taking away a lot from your international audiences? You're just encouraging them to go and pirate the show because there's no way they're going to wait months and months for next year for the show to air while watching all of their American counterparts spoil the events of the show via social media. So I just think it was a very stupid decision and really provides a lot of the disconnect between the showrunners and the fans in terms of this overall show. But we'll wait and see in terms of the fallout and perception of season 4, and I do believe it has actually already been renewed for a season 5 as well. So we will see how well this season progresses. Hopefully it can be much more of an improvement in terms of season 3, and hopefully we can get far more involvement in terms of the supporting crew members as well. So that's my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Star Trek Discovery, the season 4 premiere. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As of usual with all of my review of shows, if there are any particular standout episodes, I will review those. I will review both the season finale and also do a review of the season 4 overall itself. so look out for those content very much in the future. Please also hit and like the subscription buttons and notifications so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.